On this week's Waste of the Week, Washington, D.C. is overpaying for public housing, and it is costing taxpayers millions, according to the Washington Post. Joining us this morning with the details is CEO and founder of OpenTheBooks.com, Andrzejewski. Happy Friday, Adam. Good to see you. So this recent investigation by the Washington Post found that the district's housing authority routinely paid above market rates for their public housing program. Why? Why is this happening, and how much are we talking about?
So we're talking $1 million a month flowing into landlords and building developers above market rates. So since 2009, incredibly, Jan, the District of Columbia doesn't check on their housing voucher program if the voucher they're doling out exceeds the market rate. And this is a program for our most vulnerable people, our poor people. If your rent is more than 30% of your income, you qualify for a housing voucher. And so when they're overpaying to the tune of $50 million, probably since 2020, or hundreds of millions since 2009, this is a real problem. Since 2009, the city hasn't even been checking the individual transactions. So the vouchers have been exceeding market rates and wasting taxpayer money.
That is so baffling. And the investigation also looked at the quality of the housing that was offered, as well as the unreasonably high prices that were paid without question. Can you give me some specific examples of what they found?
So the Washington Post, they did a deep dive. They pulled 4,000 contracts out of about 16,000 and found that those contracts were paying above market rates. And here's an example. A gentleman's 73 years old, so he's elderly. His elevator in his building doesn't work. He's up there, his apartment's on the 3rd floor. He doesn't even have electricity in his apartment. And the voucher is for $2,500 a month, and a market rate for that apartment is less than $1,600 a month.
That is just, I mean, you just shake your head when you hear about stuff like that. Now, the district's housing authority distributes more than 15,000 housing vouchers a year, but, you know, rising D.C. rents have led to this voucher wait list. So now there's more than 30,000 people who are waiting, right? How do these overpayments affect those people on the wait list, Adam?
Well, when you're overpaying $1 million a month and $50 million since 2020, you can't help people. You can't get some of those 30,000 people who have real needs off the wait list and get them a housing voucher. So look, the feds have started to enforce some discipline here. And so they've stepped in. You know, this is why everybody watching the program today needs to be concerned. You're paying 2/3 of the bill.
Right.
The local people in the District of Columbia are only paying 1/3 of the bill. So the federal rules aren't being followed. The feds say that Washington, D.C. needs to reimburse them.
And this is something that could be going on in many other cities across the country, as we know. Landlords essentially exploiting the system, raising prices because the housing authority will pay whatever is asked. What can be done to mitigate this in the future?
This is a classic case of, you know, a program that's meant to do good and then people start profiting from it. A program that's meant to help the poor and people start profiting from the poor. A culture of poverty profiteers pops up. And that's exactly what's going on in Washington, D.C. They need to enforce some discipline. We're calling for a forensic audit. Every single one of those transactions needs sunshine. It needs transparency. And it needs, at the end of the day, look, there has to be a conspiracy between government, the landlords, the builders, and the bankers. The mayor actually has gone in the opposite direction. She's being a lapdog on this issue. What taxpayers need is a bulldog.
Yeah, a lot of questions regarding this. Founder and CEO of OpenTheBooks.com, Andrzejewski. We appreciate you joining us. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.